This USFL Picks Week 2 edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by the SGPN merch store. Use promo code SGPNBA to get 10% off everything in the SGPN store.
This is Clay Harbor. You're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. You're not going by USFL Insider?
Oh yes, breaking news. I've been named the USFL Insider. I was my social media interaction was recently highlighted in an article covering the USFL and their debut. Joining us here to talk United States football, Colby Dant, aka the Dantabase. Colby, I noticed you were not in that article. I was. It was about people making fun of the USFL attendance. I pointed out that they should really.
NFL never had that problem though, Sean. Right?
The NFL?
Go back to 1920 and 1930 and 1940. They were having a hard time getting teams to have fans come out to watch games.
I got to be honest.
You can actually go all the way back to the 1960s.
I'm worried. I'm worried you're gonna pull a muscle, maybe injure something that's irrecoverable at this point. This age.
When you're starting a league out, it takes time to build it, and they're building it the right way.
You're getting on a plane to Columbia soon. Let's not pull any muscles. All right.
But shouldn't they? What is the so the issue is just that they're not having the games in the home cities?
Well, they did for a couple teams. The Saturday they played at home.
Yeah, come on.
Saturday the two games were actually, I don't know, decent. I don't want to say they were sellouts, but
what was the attendance on the decent games?
It was pretty good. It was up from last year. I know that, but obviously, you know, they only had one stadium last
visually
year.
It wasn't great, right? Like this is the problem.
But so Birmingham and Memphis are the only teams that'll ever have an actual home game. Correct?
No. This week it's going to be Canton and Michigan, Detroit. So it switches.
Well, Canton doesn't, like, the teams playing in Canton aren't. No one is actually at home in Canton.
True.
Right,
but I feel like people will come visit the
Michigan will be playing at home. They have a true home field.
Crazy.
Right? Birmingham has a true home field.
But crazy.
And Memphis has a true home
crazy field. Theory. Why not give teams to the cities where you can have the games?
Well, they will. I think they just don't want to blow their finances. You know what I mean? I think that's.
But I'm just saying, instead of the Philadelphia Stars, why are they not the Detroit Stars?
Because they have the Michigan Panthers.
No, but I'm just saying, like, if they can only play in these certain cities.
The better question to me is, why did you not attempt to do like a tightly knit geolocation of cities, let's say all in the Northeast, so travel wasn't that crazy? It is an odd strategy.
Jersey, DC, Philly.
Both leagues took the approach of, and during the pandemic, I think we were just tricked to thinking, oh, this will be easier. But why would you try to launch a league without home crowd and culture and all the stuff that makes sports great? I mean, not to shit on the league, but it seems like both strategies were oddly similar.
But I think the USFL is see. I think the XFL, even though two of their, like, St. Louis and DC are showing up, the rest aren't.
The point here is that someone like an actuary made these decisions, not someone who understands the business of football.
I agree with the USFL right now, because I think if you're trying to, they're proving that it's sustainable. They had an increase in TV ratings, even going up against, you know, the XFL and NBA.
But they're missing, like, this is where they're missing the element of sport, which is people from an area all root for a fucking team.
I think that's
no good reason.
I think that's there for next year. But
why not partner up with Southwest? So wherever Southwest flies, that's where you can have the.
But forget flights. Teams. We literally have some regions in this country where you could have easily slapped 8 teams and figured out how to bust people around.
But I think you'd probably deal with the same problem for some of them. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like we're
here's
seeing.
the
Look, the XFL's playing on their home stadiums, and only 2 of them are packed.
Well, let's get to a bigger
But still,
issue.
that's big. 2 stadiums
True.
full of people.
True, but you got to wonder how much money is that going to be costing them. I think they're clearly the more unstable league right now compared to the USFL.
Well, 2 things.
Oh,
One,
really?
you're going to sell more tickets if you're actually selling to a home crowd. So the other side of this, which might be even more bleak, which is they lose money every time they have to open the doors to these buildings. And so that's the scary part, because to me, it would make more sense that the Philadelphia Stars could sell more tickets in Philadelphia. It would make sense that the Jersey Generals would have a better chance selling tickets. Even the fucking MLS has a travel budget. So this is where I get a little worried that both of these leagues, where you know what's between us and success, skimping on the travel budget. That's confusing to me.
I think they need to target MLS stadiums, because, like, to me, I would imagine Ford Field or whatever the
now we're talking.
Some
Sean,
of these other stadiums
you went to
are
a
expensive.
game.
Yeah.
You went to a game at the Dignity Health Center, now whatever it's called, which is a
I did too. It was great.
built for soccer.
Great experience.
But you watched a football game there, and how was it?
It's like, I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Sean, but I'm saying, like, to me, it was like a very intimate.
No, it's a great
experience.
place to catch a game, and they should.
If
play
you've
at those
ever been to
stadiums.
LAFC Stadium in downtown LA, there's not a bad seat in the house. If you played football there, it would fucking work.
Yeah.
So again, it's like, why did you skimp on the travel, not the stadium? Find cheaper stadiums.
I still think though they're trying to make sure it. I think this year was more caution. Like last year, they rushed. So the USFL.
It tells me they're not sticking with these cities. That's what it tells me.
Really. I think they'll.
I think they're not making an investment in the city because they're still undecided.
No, I think
and
if
they want
have
flexibility.
another good season like last year, I think they needed to see it going up against competition.
I think they want flexibility to move teams around.
I just don't think you're going to wake up. I don't think you're going to build a fan base without home games. I think.
Agree.
I think long term, sure, I agree with you. But I think right now, when you're I think right now you're just trying to see that it is sustainable from a viewing standpoint.
Yeah, but
that's why it's owned by Fox. But it's not owned by.
No, I understand that, but what doesn't make sense from that perspective is the viewing, like the aesthetics of the product are better if they're at home with home fans.
Understandably,
that would be my
but not if you're going to go into the red.
Well, again,
you need to see first that millions are going to be watching the fucking product. I think that's what they're figuring out. They bought the rights this past offseason to a bunch of other teams.
No. Look, I understand what they think they're trying to do, and I'm just saying that neither one of these organizations are being run by football people or anyone that's run a sport before. That would be my take, because they're not. They're running it like it's a TV.
Moose Johnson?
They're running it like it's a TV product. They're running it like they want to. Well, they're running it like they already owe a bunch of people money and they want to scale it out to as many teams as possible. And honestly, we all know what the solution is going to be. We're going to have the XFL conference and the USFL conference. There's going to be one spring league, and that's going to be that. Because 8 teams is not enough.
America, baby.
8 teams is not enough.
You never saw Burger King go with McDonald's, all right?
Well, again, don't rename them.
Literally, the AFC, the AFL joined the NFL and formed the greatest football league of all time.
And had the Super Bowl. Why not do something similar? Have the XFL and the USFL.
Spring League, Super League.
You have.
Why does Fox need to do that?
What do you mean Fox? Why is this a Fox?
They own the whole entire USFL.
Yeah, but I mean, that they have a viable product.
Because if you don't, so think of it this way: if you are building something to compete against something else, you will never have 100% of the pie unless you acquire that other thing.
All right. I think we fixed the USFL.
Oh, Sean's checked out.
No,
I can tell you this.
Just Colby doesn't get our point.
He does get our point.
I do, but I just don't think you go into it in year 2. I think you go. I like the process of saying, hey, we're going to prove that we can go up against another spring league. Because they clearly rushed it last year to get ahead of the XFL, because the XFL had announced that they're coming out in 2023.
I think it's crazy to compete against the XFL.
Why?
Because no one's gonna follow. I mean,
they just did better ratings than they did last year without the XFL.
In very, very, I don't know. I don't think it's sustainable to compete against another spring league at the same time.
Who's got the better cities right now? XFL. USFL better.
I mean, USFL is Philly. That's way better.
I don't know. I mean,
But Philly's not supporting the
DC
team.
and St. Louis are
Well,
definitely.
what do you mean they're not
team.
supporting the team? They don't have a stadium.
Well, they can't support the team. But
I mean, Birmingham definitely
okay,
did. Yeah.
so let's revisit the conversation. If you're gonna pick 4 cities, why not pick fucking Philly as one of? Like, why not have these?
I
was my-
actually
that
think you
was my-
probably have your worst fan turnout in Philly
Because
it's a pro market.
Okay, here's
what else do they got going on?
Well,
they
like to
love
me,
Blau.
Birmingham, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I like Birmingham.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why are you having a game in Canton between the Generals and Maulers?
Yeah, what's the relevance of having Canton be involved?
I mean, it's just a historical.
Then why
football
not give
place.
Canton a team?
Yeah.
I'm on board.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck.
I've already, guys. I'm I'm way ahead of you. Canton Bulldogs need to come
You
back.
can't have 2 teams playing at a location that isn't their home.
Oh, I don't care about
That's-
that. I don't
you
care
have
about that
to.
this year.
Oh.
Long term, sure.
Yeah, we can move on, but I do think sports are built like the idea of sport was always built around rooting for your guy, right? Like back to the fucking Gladiators.
I understand
if
that, but to me,
No,
like,
they're not going to play in the Coliseum.
What is
they're
this
gonna,
fucking League of Legends?
I hope they play in the
it's too
Oakland
much,
Coliseum.
It's too much travel
Yeah.
for the Gladiators. They're going to play it in Sicily. They're going to be the Rome Gladiators. They're going to be playing the game in Sicily.
There's actually gonna be 4 hubs, and they're gonna travel together.
I mean, the Huns. They don't. The travel for the Huns. You got lodging fee for the barbarians.
I do think you guys
a
are-
logistic nightmare.
I think you guys are short selling like why all the other leagues failed is because they rushed into that, and I think that's why the USFL is doing this really smart by far. Like I think of any of the leagues, I think this is by far the smartest approach
I hear
I've ever
you,
seen.
But
yeah.
what if I like? Last thing I'll say, what if the solution was to start in a smaller region of the country and not try to blow it out by being all over the nation where you're going to incur more costs?
Here's just one thing. Okay.
Southeast.
All right. Certain teams. So you have only a certain number of sites where you can host the games. Okay. Because it cuts down on travel, right?
Yeah.
Why would not those teams or those cities be the same cities you have the teams?
That's a good
Because
point.
probably the cost.
Well, what do you mean the
Then
cost?
don't have
Like-
teams.
like
Like
what- instead of-
Philadelphia, I
instead
would
of the-
imagine like Philadelphia is probably much more expensive to house a bunch of people.
Southwest-
than-
No.
Yeah.
Like so, instead of the Pittsburgh Maulers, they're the Canton Maulers.
Oh, but you're going to ruin the history then.
But no one followed
what-
the league, followed the original USFL.
I would disagree, buddy. I think a lot of people do.
Really?
I think a lot of people connect.
I mean,
Look.
when was the USFL last ran?
86.
So you think the people that weren't watching the USFL for 17 years are getting back in?
I do think there's some. I definitely think there's some. I
right.
remember when I had the Arkansas, when I was doing Arkansas State's college football team preview, their guy came on, and I was explaining that I also host the USFL podcast, and he was like, "Hey, Memphis is getting a team. I'm excited about that. I used to have season tickets to Memphis back in '85."
That's great because he was going to the games.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, using the Southwest, that literal analogy, they built their airline by not going to major hubs and having to pay those exorbitant fees to park their airplanes there. They went to the smaller cities. These leagues could have done that, but they chose to do this, and it's a weird. I understand they're going slow.
Yeah, I think
they don't want to blow it out.
I think
but
next year or the year after they'll be in their home environments.
100% chance that there's one spring league.
I'm just saying. I think having 30,000 people in the St. Louis Stadium helps the XFL grow.
DC. Great.
Grow fans and
True.
becomes a viable business.
I agree, and that's my one takeaway from this week. I thought the USFL product was way better than the XFL, but I thought the home environments obviously
Well,
give you an edge.
I think watching the game live and coming back to my original tweet of saying they should really let the USFL fans in the games, watching it in front of no fans, it felt like COVID times, and it killed the energy. I think watching it live.
I don't
that
have
being
a problem
said,
with that. I'm a football guy.
That being said,
Fox needs to put give me fake crowd noise.
that being said, I still went 3-1 ATS,
Oh, well.
hitting my lock, hitting at 75%. ZD Mills in the chat saying, not gonna lie, I haven't watched a second of either league. Just here for the funny banter and hot takes. Well, you came to the right place, ZD Mills. Oh, I realized I swapped my hot take sound effect for the NFL draft sound
It is
effect.
draft season.
Why does that sound so distant?
I don't know. Maybe turn your headphones up.
I think
you
it's
guys fine. Just that one.
it's just the live sound from as if we're at the NFL draft. We're on the clock. NFL draft week is next week. But here we're talking USFL week 2 picks. Again, coming off a scorching 3-1 week for myself. Any other big takeaways from week 1, Colby?
I thought this is what I will say. Like from looking at last season, week 1, I thought it was a lot sloppier than this year, week 1. I think that some of that continuity. I have a nice nugget here for you on the fact they only threw 4 interceptions compared to. You go back to the AAF week 1, 12 interceptions. The USFL, the XFL this year, 12 interceptions. Right. The XFL 2021, I think, had 9. This league only had 4, and you could see, to me, I know J Mark. Shout out to J Mark from the Old Fashioned Football Podcast. You know, when I had gotten him on to do the XFL show, and we were talking pre-episode, the first thing he noticed was how much cleaner was the game, the offenses and the defenses in the USFL essentially. So I was like, yeah, right away. I noticed that popped, and I thought the totals made a lot of sense to go over on a lot of those, which hit.
Birmingham 27-10 against the Generals. Kramer pointed out Birmingham seems to be on another level, and again, they were 5.5 point favorites at home. Seem to dominate the Generals there. Ryan, you worried about your Generals coming into this?
I'll say it like this: Generals are still number 3 in the power ratings by a wide margin to me.
Don't panic.
And I again, we came into this. What do we always say? The good teams are generally a lot better than the bad teams early. We identified 3 teams as being much better than everyone else. 2 of them happened to play. Colby thinks the game was closer than I did, but
I mean, Birmingham, if they got in the end zone or they got in the red zone 5 times, you only get 1 score. That's how you lose a football game.
They both seem like they're obviously gonna be bet on teams this week, and again, I think there's some bad teams.
Generals leading the league in rushing, so I mean.
Well, it's the same thing as last year. I mean, they're just
Birmingham, and that will be an interesting matchup this week. It does seem like you can run on this Birmingham team, in spite of like a pretty decent defense, and obviously they.
I think New Jersey's just very unique in their rushing attack. I'm telling you, like you're going to see Birmingham and New Jersey butt fuck these teams.
What about?
I don't want to ruin the preview.
The only dog to win and cover was the Michigan Panthers, 1-point dog. They win 29-13. We were all in Houston.
Ooh, and I think Houston's pretty bad. I think
that was our bad. Maybe Kevin Sumlin not a bad coach. Maybe.
Well,
maybe
or Curtis Johnson doesn't know what he's doing as well. But I can tell you this: with Michigan, you see how bad Jeff Fisher was as a coach because they pretty much have the same roster.
Didn't really factor that in.
And Josh Love looking like Broadway Joe back there.
Is that what I was getting at is, are we high on the Panthers or do we just think the gamblers suck?
We were going down a Jake Locker rabbit hole earlier where we kind of learned that
we watched
Jeff
as a
Fisher
company,
made Jake Locker quit football.
As a company, if we're looking at efficiency for ourselves, watching 15-20 minutes of Jake Locker highlights probably not the most
we were
productive.
trying to make sure that it's appropriate to label Anthony Richardson the Jake Locker of this draft and not Will Levis just because of the color of his skin. Colby was very offended.
I feel like Anthony Richardson and Jake Locker's a better comparison.
Anyway,
than
the point
Will
being,
Levis.
Jeff Fisher made Jake Locker quit football. Maybe Jeff Fisher was really bad, and we should have upgraded.
Why
the
he ever wanted to coach the Michigan Panthers, I have no idea.
Because they dropped a bag.
Did they?
He's a football guy.
I don't think they get paid that much, and I don't know
what
if
else is he doing.
Yeah, I think if anything, he probably didn't want to coach them a second year because they were moving to Detroit.
What was the joke? He was building rooms that were 9'7" or
where were they
in Montana?
Wait, where were they the first year?
Birmingham. Everyone was in Birmingham, Alabama.
So Birmingham is that much of a better place than Detroit?
Jeff Fisher, I think, has a house in Tennessee. It's not far away. It seems like you go to Detroit.
Hold on, Colby. We might need to pull up a map.
What do you mean?
Colby is a map expert, Kramer. Be careful.
I know we like to study the maps here, but
What are you talking about?
how far is Birmingham from Tennessee?
Not that long.
It's not that far.
Buddy, come on.
He could drive home on weekends.
Stick to your protein.
He could still get home for his moonshine.
I know my
Tennessee
recruiting.
moonshine.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my takeaway. Jeff Fisher, garbage.
Oh,
so
I mean, that was impressive. Let's see if they can do it again.
I had that take 12 years ago.
Bottom 3 teams. Who are the worst? Who are the worst 3 teams in the league?
Houston, Pittsburgh's defense looks awesome. Their offense looks terrible.
They look like San Antonio in the XFL.
Yeah,
right?
and I would say actually New Orleans. New Orleans got the win, but they didn't look very good. So those 3 stand out. I was actually impressed. I thought Memphis, despite them losing, they looked way better on the line of scrimmage. way better on the line of scrimmage than a year ago when they were the Tampa Bay Bandits. Same roster for the most part, without Jordan Ta'amu and a couple running backs. I think they're improved. We'll see if they can be consistent. But that they jumped out to me. Michigan's improvement. Josh Love was player of the week. He only had like 2 incompletions.
Yeah. So real quick, then, just glance at the futures. Pittsburgh 15-1. Houston 11-1, Memphis 850, Michigan 6-1, Nolans 550, Generals 450, Stars 380, Stallions 225. Seems like they've already figured out who's good and who isn't.
Why would you not take Philly a plus 380 right there? Philly looked like they hadn't missed a beat.
Is there a do you feel like Michigan, New Orleans should be this close to Jersey?
I mean, that is pretty big movement. Again, considering there's 8 teams, I gave out the Stars preseason. Yeah, at plus 550. Now it's all the way down to what is it, 380?
I think right there, what you just listed, I think the Showboats are the one, because in the South, someone's going to make the playoffs. New Orleans did not look very good. I know it's only a small, size that we saw, but Memphis looks better than New Orleans to me.
I think we're gonna, after we see Philly, I mean, we'll get into it, but after we see Philly play this week's game, I think we'll maybe understand a bit more. But yeah, I mean, maybe.
No, but to Colby's point, like the South, it does feel like the Stallions are a runaway freight train. I mean, you can pencil them in to make the playoffs, but again, that second spot in the South does have some value.
So we're already penciling in Philly and New Jersey and Birmingham, and there's one more playoff.
Yeah, I think you take a shot on Memphis plus 850.
Well, Generals are, again, they lost that first game. We'll see how they bounce back.
And I think Michigan's an interesting team, because if
6-1's bad odds though,
dude, when you play in a spring league and you only have 2 incompletions, I've watched a lot of spring football in my life, and I'm like, whoa.
You're impressed.
Normally you have you're at 50% completion percentage. You know what I mean? So,
and Houston, even though they're 11-1, like, isn't that
they got to go out? I was thinking this right now. Houston and Pittsburgh.
I mean, I'd rather take Pittsburgh at 15-1 than Houston at 11-1.
One of them's got to go out and sign Kyle Sloter. He's sitting there. He's better than the quarterbacks in Houston. He's better than the quarterbacks in Pittsburgh.
Maulers are in the north. It's like the same problem the Vipers have. They're just not as good as the other teams in their division.
Yeah, well, that's why Michigan's an interesting play, but you feel like the Generals and
I'm with you. I think I'll
take some of that Showboats action.
Yeah, I think the Showboats are the investment for this week, and maybe some more Generals plus 450.
I like it.
I mean, the quarterback. I mean, who's the second quarterback they use?
Which team were you talking about?
New Jersey.
They were Dakota Prokop from the CFL.
He's not bad.
Yeah,
he might be better than our guy Perez.
Yeah, he's certainly more athletic. I can tell you that.
That's going to be an interesting team, because the offense doesn't really need to change anymore. All right, Sean, you ready to talk about?
They didn't have Trey Williams either, who's a stud running back for them.
Yes. Yeah. Before we get to week 2, make sure you check out Underdog Fantasy. That's right, NBA and NHL playoffs are here. What better way to get down on some sweet player prop parlays than over at Underdog Fantasy? Besides daily NHL, NBA, and MLB games, they also got you covered with the NFL best ball drafts. They're here. They're for real. Kramer and I just knocked out a superflex draft. Again, $500,000 in guaranteed prizes for the best ball draft. It's crazy. Head over to Underdog Fantasy and use code SGPN for 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. And make sure you check out the SGPN merch store. Get your USFL Gambling Podcast shirts, but also Mike Leach. Swing Your Sword shirts. They're pretty cool. You can get those in the store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Use the promo code SGPNBA. Get 10% off everything in the merch store. Again, NBA Gambling Pod shirts, hockey Gambling Podcast shirts, so much gear. Store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Promo code SGPNBA.
How's your Zamboni team doing, Sean?
Good. Really good.
I have 6 points so far. I think no one's really played. I did a mega Jersey Colorado stack. So,
well, Avalanche play tonight, Ron. Or as the Avs, as I call them.
As you know, Sean, Colorado once famously moved to New Jersey. So, all right. let's go talking about the Houston Gamblers. Some say,
Ryan, breaking news. I am in first place in my Zamboni.
Oh hell yeah, dude! I'm in last, but I have 0 points.
It's only 6 teams. I have 76.5 points.
Oh yeah, well, that seems like a good. Let's see, first place in mine isn't that high. So
sorry
actually,
guys, just a couple hockey guys can't keep hockey away from us.
Just the underdog format. It makes it so easy to get invested. All right, Houston Gamblers taking on the Nolens Breakers. This is at 9:30 on the West Coast. Saturday's all about Birmingham. So we talked about this last week. Both games in Birmingham. So maybe you can make a full day of USFL action. I wonder if we'll have some crossover fans going to the game.
That makes a lot more sense, and that's another thing that hurt that approach on Sunday was to play one game at the Liberty Bowl on Saturday and then another on Sunday.
Yeah, why not the same day?
If you're going to get those Memphis fans in there, you might as well have them stick for both.
And you need to run the games back to back.
Yeah. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that's to me what Birmingham
because they're
smart to do here.
Stupid idiots who don't understand how to put on a fucking promotion.
Well, I mean, make it like the Final Four. You get one ticket, you're there for the entire day.
Oh, then they won't make as much money. I'm just like,
they're making zero money.
Who cares? They clearly.
I mean,
do
honestly,
not
it
care.
might save money because then you don't have to open the stadium back-to-back days.
Yeah, that was
probably does.
I'm telling you, they're losing money when they open most of these buildings, with the exception of maybe all the buildings.
I don't think they're losing with Birmingham because I believe the city let them use that for free.
And probably same with Canton. They're desperate to have people go out there. So much so they built a Hall of Fame. I mean, middle of fucking nowhere in Ohio. Come on. I'm just kidding. New Orleans -5.5, right? Not really. -5.5, -205 on the money line. Houston +175. 39 is the total. As I mentioned, 1100 is the future for the Gamblers. No, thank you. Breakers are +550. Not particularly interested at that price. And as we mentioned, this is a home game for New Orleans, aka it's in Birmingham. I mean, this is an interesting spot because I on my contrarian zigzag brain wants to just take the Gamblers. Because
but you see Bethel Thompson, the guy really he laid out for that one first down. He put the team on his back. I understand the instinct to take the points because it's like, hey, New Orleans wasn't running away with that game. Their offense seems to struggle a bit, but the line opened at 4, so you've probably missed some value. But I still think New Orleans -5.5. I'm out on this Houston team, and I saw enough out of the Breakers, their gutsy finish to get that cover. A lot of people probably thought the game was over when the Maulers returned that punt for a touchdown, and Breakers said, "No way, we're getting this win and we're getting this cover." That's what I like.
Well, I think if you dive into it, yes, the Breakers' offensive line was terrible. Right, absolutely terrible the whole game.
Terrible.
Their run game absolutely non-existent. But Houston's defense looked really bad against Michigan. I think New Orleans, though, you look at the yardage, they were still able to throw the ball around a lot. They had to settle for field goals. I think they correct some of those mistakes. I'll lay the 5.5. Houston looked like the clear-cut worst team in the league to me. I think because at least like Pittsburgh's defense to me was impressive. Houston, I don't know that I was impressed by anything. Now I know Mark Thompson didn't end up playing that game, and he's like one of the best running backs in this league.
Kind of a beast.
Yeah, maybe that would be a difference maker.
Does he play this week?
I think so. I would assume so, but I haven't seen an official report.
But chalk pays in these bullshit leagues early, and the biggest when I'm looking at the game tape of myself last week. My biggest mistake. What did I do?
Ryan, you're an auto chalk guy, and then you
plus
had
3.5
dogs.
on the Maulers. I got too emotional
Maulers,
with the
we almost
general.
had that. 4 minutes left. We should have took the lead.
It's a simple handicap. I'm gonna buy until we see the basement, and I don't think we've seen the basement for the Gamblers yet. So we'll lean into the Breakers, as the chat mentioned earlier. Mate, they have bits of competency. I think certainly a +550 for the future price is pretty steep, but.
Houston.
For what? For New Orleans?
Yeah, just saying. Like, I don't think the price is reflective of how good of a team they are, but Houston could be really bad. So I'm with you guys.
Go sign Kyle Sloter, Houston.
So we're staying in Birmingham, but it's an awkward amount of time between the games here.
Yes, that's the other thing.
Yeah.
Well, they got to make sure that you can.
But I
get
think
out
that ticket counts for both. If I read that correctly.
Why not make them back to back? You know how hot it's going to be. Make sure you bring your easy ups. Look, I have a lot of I have a lot of soccer tourney experiences. You get the easy up, you bring the cooler. Maybe you get a couple parents to do a potluck style meal in between. It's really nice.
Well, Ryan, easy up. You're gonna need it because I don't know if you've looked at the weather. 70% precipitation for Birmingham.
Oh my
Football weather, baby.
Oh.
Let's go.
Well, that would be great if they canceled because of rain.
They probably would for lightning. They've done it before.
If the Birmingham, so if this is true that they'll be open,
But
the
it looks
whole
like
time.
it looks like it's going to be. The 9 a.m. game actually looks like where most of the precipitation. My AccuWeather is showing by 4 o'clock.
Okay.
It looks like it should be clean for kickoff, but the
Maybe,
early
maybe
game,
end up pushing it back a little bit.
Well, here's what I would say. If the Birmingham fans are real fans, they're going to get there early for the Houston New Orleans game and tailgate
all
the
day,
entire time.
yeah.
They're gonna cook some pigs or whatever they do down there in Alabama. Maybe it's just some possum or something like
You kind
that.
of gotta love the Stallions fans dressing up as Shark Dog and stuff. I don't know if you guys saw that. I thought that was pretty fun.
I love it, embracing because as we were told,
Shark Dog.
It's not. It's a vibe.
Yeah.
Shark Dog isn't. It's not a character. It's a vibe. So I embrace other people embracing the vibe of Shark Dog. But yeah, the Memphis Showboats and Birmingham playing all the way at 4 p.m. on the West Coast. So there's a full, what would you say, like 3 hours between games? Like the first game's going to end at noon 30, and then this one's not starting until 4. All right, that's a lot of time to drink. Memphis here again. We said we like the future at plus 850, plus 7.5 on the game spread, 320. On the money line, 44.5 is the total. Birmingham minus 390, which out of principle, spring football, the money line that big almost feels dangerous. Birmingham plus 225 to win the championship almost doesn't feel like a horrible deal with how good they fucking looked.
With their quarterback being in their 7th year of Skip Holtz's offense.
Chalk works.
Well,
you know what doesn't work? This is completely unrelated to the USFL, but I've fallen down the rabbit hole into looking into these fucking TikTok touts. You know how you can tell if someone's full of shit other than if they're giving out pics on TikTok? If they say, I really like Birmingham minus 7.5.
Yeah, they don't know that it's the Stallions.
No,
They're just saying.
Point. No one who bets says 7.5. They say 7.5.
That's true.
These fucking idiots. They're telling me they want to take Knicks. I'm taking the Knicks plus 5.5. No one says that.
5.
No one says
well,
that.
because it implies there's other like 0.2, 0.3.
It's a half or a hook. It's not a fucking 0.5.
I don't know why
Birmingham minus the points.
Birmingham, much better team. I don't know why they're still messing around with Alex Magoo. It's Jamar Smith's team. Let Jamar Smith run it. But speaking of running, I do think Birmingham does. I think you can attack Birmingham on the ground. And if you're talking yourself into Memphis and the points, you're talking yourself into Alex Collins going nuts and racking up a bunch of rushing yards. That being said, Birmingham just, I don't know, the pedigree. They've only lost 1 game in these past couple of years. Right. How do you not take them even late in 7.5? I think they're making it 7.5. They're tricking you. They're tricking you in that 0.5. So giving the Stallions laying the big number. I can see Colby though. He loves the Memphis Showboats.
I'm gonna take some Showboats action because I want to see more of Cole Kelly, classic, gigantic lawn chair. And I was impressed. The line of scrimmage was much improved, and I think they can stay around. I think Birmingham's going to win the game, but I'll take the 7.5.
Birmingham though has some good linebackers. AKA Shark Dog, and the rest of the crew they got there. So I think that could be the difference. A linebacker play for the Stallions, I think, could carry them in this game. Have them laying the 7.5.
Very early in the week, but it does appear like people are on to the proper betting systems of just smashing the teams that don't look like shit. The Breakers 94% of the spread handle. Stallions 77%, Generals and Stars north of 90%. So, it doesn't matter. Give me the chalk. Although if I was gonna take a dog, this is the one. But I'm not fading. After that game, Birmingham's gonna have to lose a game for me to bet against them. All right, moving over to Sunday. We're in different cities where Pittsburgh, as the home team, will be in Canton on the same field that Sean and I have done stuff on.
Why don't you say play football or run the 40 time done stuff? Sounds like a.
I don't want to disrespect football by saying we did football there. The New Jersey Generals. Again, this is 10 a.m. on the West Coast, 1 p.m. local time. Pittsburgh Maulers, long shots to win it all. They're catching only 2.5 here, plus 120 on the money line. Jersey also at home. Plot twist. Both teams are at home. Minus 140. 37 is the total. This is insane.
This is insane.
I understand that Jersey just lost the game to the best team in the league by enough to make you think maybe they're not that good.
Them.
But this is I'm putting actual. This is a NFL bet coming on Jersey minus 2.5.
Yeah,
You're not worried about the Maulers, Ryan.
No, the reason you think you can run on Birmingham is because New Jersey's just really good at running the ball and they pose a different kind of threat.
Shall I remind you
they didn't even have their
that the Maulers averaged 3 yards a completion, right?
James Morgan and Troy Williams both completed under 40% of their passes.
That's what I'm saying.
For fewer than 4 yards per
This
attempt.
is a slam dunk.
As much as I want to fade the NJGs, it's hard to.
Nice.
Especially
a slam dunk here.
How much can I bet on this? What is the max?
I mean, Pittsburgh, go get Slaughter. What are you doing? Go get Slaughter. I did say that. I mean, the uniforms did improve, though, in my opinion. Getting the black and yellow looks a lot better than that.
You can get down for a single step. Well, it's not bad, Sean. I can get down for a dime.
Really?
Yeah.
They're taking dime action on USFL games.
I think I have to, right? This is Colby. Is this not the lock of all locks?
Especially because you think Trey Williams is going to be healthy. That's another back. Mike Riley's a great.
Why are they making it 2.5, Ryan? Why 2.5? Why not the 3?
It's going to move. It's going to move to 3.
Mike Riley is a very good football coach. Played under Bear Bryant back in the day, but man, look. Did you guys see what Darius Victor did? He averaged 11.1 yards a rush. Why is he only getting 8 carries?
Should I
load up the
max
box?
Play? All right, this will be a fun bit for the show.
Fire.
Is it? All right, it's in. I'm hands up. I'm in. 1,100 to win 1,000 on the Generals. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
All right. This game doesn't fucking matter to me, but Michigan, the Panthers, they are playing a home game against the Philadelphia Stars, who are also playing a home game in Detroit, Michigan. It's very confusing. I don't think many people from Philadelphia will be in town. It's too bad the Sixers weren't playing the Pistons or something like that, so they could have a little day matinee here. Philly second favorite to win it all, -3 in this spot, -165 on the money line. Michigan plus 140, 42.5 is the total. Philly is in that category of contender. I think they're probably in tier 2 with New Jersey for me.
Though. This is a good test for this.
Should we put out
Stars.
USFL tiers, Sean?
Well, Colby does have USFL power rankings coming up.
We do that.
Can we get included in the USFL tier graphic or whatever you put out? All right,
sure. Let's go.
I'm only ranking 3 teams. That's gonna be my joke.
I'll have you know this.
Just
Look,
leaving the other spots blank.
they call the curse of Bobby Lane, but since we've had the National Football League, since that merger you were talking about with the AFL, the Michigan Panthers, Sean, they still have more playoff wins than the Detroit Lions, right? So there's some of that USFL history, that rich USFL history, and I think some of these Michigan Panther fans, like Jalen Rose, I saw Jalen Rose saying he's exciting. He grew up with the Michigan Panthers.
He's fucking weird now. There's no way he's getting into the USFL.
He's in.
No,
let's go.
I don't buy it at all.
Colby, you're taking the Panthers?
I am, because look, last time
it makes me feel a lot
you might
better.
have to go all the way back to
Kukas. Case Kukas. He's the star of the league.
Sean, July
69% of his passes, 7.3 yards per attempt. That was without Bug Howard. Do we expect Bug Howard back? We need better injury reports.
But that's true. I can tell you this. It was Sunday, July 17th, 1983, when the Philadelphia Stars and Michigan Panthers played for a USFL championship, and the Panthers prevailed 24-22. Live dog, Josh Love throwing that rock around in that filthy roller rink.
Really worked to get that out there.
That filthy roller rink.
How many people that were fans of the original Michigan Panthers will be attending this game? I would set the over under at 6 fans.
No, you're selling yourself.
You think that's
short.
too high? 4?
No,
right.
much higher. 600. Right?
Serious plot twist.
600?
Yeah.
There's no way they get 600 fans here.
Serious plot twist in my $1,100 New Jersey Generals bet. The little one has a soccer game that starts at the exact same time as the USFL. All right, we're gonna have to work something.
I got to admit, I did go to a bar. The NBA playoffs were on in the Dodgers game,
and you asked them to put the USFL.
I demanded the USFL game. They met my demands.
No, you're in LA. They don't.
I
care.
thought I then was like, well, shit. I kind of want to watch the XFL game too. I caught it there though. I just got the USFL one.
Imagine the story. Sean Colby gets his ass kicked for turning the Dodgers game off to put on the fucking Vegas Vipers.
Hey, it was great. The table next to me at the bar, they said, "Dude, I knew you were a sports guy." They got cards from SGPN, by the way.
Good. Nice
I knew
job.
you were a sports guy when you demanded the USFL to be on the TV.
Well, yeah, and again, like shout out to the guy who works up at Shriner's Deli. Maybe he's listening right now, but I was wearing the Roughneck shirt, and he was like interested in starting a conversation with me about the USFL.
That's what I'm saying.
Wait, Ryan,
That's a
Roughnecks
win.
are XFL. Come on.
Yeah.
No, I know, but we like the XFL turned into
It's-
him being
you can
like
be fans of both.
USFL is starting this week.
Are you allowed
excited?
to be fans of both? Can you be a gamblers? How does Houston have
Two
two
franchises.
spring football
and,
leagues?
and look, the Roughnecks haven't been. It's not like they've been packing that stadium down there in Houston, but
What?
we'll see when the
Is that
Gamblers
are they
come
the
back.
only city with 2 teams?
I believe so.
That's wrong. That's I mean for many
Again,
reasons
when
that's wrong.
Ryan and I saved spring football by merging the
No,
We're
no
gonna get to sit
merging.
down.
I want,
Wait, Sean, this is
no
great.
merging.
Let's just put out the solution before anyone asks
I
for it.
don't want a merger.
Let's put out a nice produced video on how to fix spring football.
Oh, you're
it
right.
Would piss off so
there's
many
no
people.
way some bigwig at Fox reaches out to Dwayne Rock Johnson. Yeah, that would never happen. And then they merge, and then you have a
It's like
competitive
that.
league.
No, but I don't like a lot of the XFL names. I like look. I don't know if you know
Oh,
this. In
boy.
the past year, the USFL bought the rights to the Chicago Blitz, the Los
Perfect.
Angeles Express,
Perfect.
the Denver Gold, the Washington Federals, the Oakland Invaders.
What do you get for the Denver Gold? I'll give you $20. All right.
Look, I'm telling you, buddy.
It's like some kid who had a
Telling
baseball.
you, June Jones used to coach for the Denver Gold.
Some kid his old baseball card collection. He's like, oh look, I got the Federals and the fucking Express.
You guys
Come on.
laugh.
Yeah,
You guys laugh.
They're all right. So
No, but I mean, just imagine a league where they combine, they can split the costs of flying these people, which apparently would
No.
bankrupt these leagues.
Maybe down the road, but right now, I want to see competitiveness. I want to see them
and
make rule changes.
What better way to increase competitiveness by increasing the talent?
No, because I want like you have the XFL with their rules and their philosophies on how to be a successful league in the USFL, and I want that to keep going because I think that's how we bring real football. back.
Ryan, when you have 2 spring leagues, you have 0
Well,
spring leagues.
Colby's right. He's defining capitalism, but in football terms, you need competition. I
Low
agree.
man wins.
Unfortunately, what we've done is we've allowed a monopoly to exist for too long.
Yeah.
And so the marketplace is impenetrable, and these leagues will have to merge to have any sort of chance, and then also probably sign a deal with the NFL.
What do you mean they don't need to compete with the NFL? Like the guy from Fox tweeted this out. They already did better than the UFC on ESPN. If they can stay at the average they just did this past week.
Yeah,
Also,
they would need to. I just think doing a deal like making it easy for players to move between leagues is beneficial.
sure,
Like figuring that out is all I'm
sure,
saying.
but just stay in your own zone.
And I think like what if you like gun to my head, 100%. There will be one spring league in 5 years. There will be one spring league.
Yeah.
And I believe that franchises like the New Jersey Generals will play franchises like the Houston Roughnecks.
I'm hoping there'll be 3 leagues.
Well, and then imagine
AAF's coming back.
imagine
World
a
League, I want
world.
World League back.
Imagine a world where the Houston Roughnecks go head to head against the Houston Gamblers. Now that is spring football.
Let me see the Jets and Giants go.
Let's just
you know,
retire the
you know.
Gamblers franchise. It's
What?
a great look.
Stop it. They're way cooler than the Roughnecks.
We can call the trophy at the end the Gamblers Cup.
No. It's the Freedom Cup, buddy.
I do like the Freedom Cup. All right, should we lock some of these up?
Kramer, I don't know if we ever got your pick on the Stars Panthers.
Oh, the Stars by a million.
Whew.
Now can Blob be seen on the streets of Detroit? That punk bitch will get jumped, I bet.
At what point do the Eagles sign Case Cookus?
He's got to stay north of 8 Mile.
They don't need Case Kukas. Although
The first
I'd
thing
probably
J
rather
Mark told me was When we started talking, he goes, Case Cook is better than any other spring quarterback.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, again, he's looking pretty sharp. Kramer started off with your lock. I'm going to pencil in the Generals.
Yeah, you can put I mean, again, we've put a proper feeling good football size bet on the game here. Which shout out to the. I mean, imagine being able to place $1,100 wagers on the USFL on Tuesday.
Love it.
Like 5 years ago, I would have been thrown into a fucking madhouse. Put one of those straight jackets on me for my dog. I'm gonna money line all the favorites. It pays plus 410.
Really?
That pique your interest?
I was just doing the math there. Let's see. All right. So my lock, I'm going to ride with the Stars once again. Their offense too good to be slowed down. And for my dog, what do I want to do here?
Well, you didn't take any dogs, so
No.
Mr. Chalk over there.
Well,
Chalk pays, Colby. I was 3-1, 75% ATS.
You got a little lucky. Got a little lucky.
What do you mean lucky? What do you think spring football is?
I'm going to do a
The
round
intersection of luck and whatever the
Pure.
opportunity.
It's pure, baby.
round robin spread parlay on New Orleans. Basically, the other 3 remaining games:
What
New
do you mean?
Orleans, Birmingham.
You're
and
copying me, but
Generals.
doing one less.
Mine's a round robin, Ryan. So similar.
And
similar.
I actually misspoke. I recalculated. It's actually
yours
plus
is a
4
4-team parlay.
plus 414 is mine.
Mine's a mine's a spread round robin. Colby, what do you got?
Spread round robin.
Well, we're locking up Jersey. That line's just
Oh, Kramer.
it's just
Do
easy.
you want to? Are you considering hedging out now that Colby's?
I'm
on
1-0
your-
on my locks, buddy.
You are 100%
1-0
on
on my locks, and also locked up the total in this game. If you listen to the USFL Gambling Podcast, which you should be subscribed
It's now
to.
minus 115. I may have moved the line. It's moving to 3. You want to get down right now if you're in the live stream.
The dog is look. Michigan hasn't had a football team in a long time. All right. So
Look at you.
they haven't had a pro football team in a long time. They're still playing at that filthy
Michigan?
world. Yeah.
Jared Goff sucks Island is
No,
right
the Lions,
there on
the
the
Lions
lake.
haven't existed since Bobby Lane. So
Oh, wow.
we're gonna go and say Panthers money line plus 600 against your stars, Sean.
No, it's
Blob.
plus 140.
Blob's gonna. Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
The future is 6-1.
Well, take some of that too, because Blob ain't gonna be able to handle it. All right.
He's coming after Blob.
I'm fine. I hate Blob.
Blob's gonna be getting a gyro. A gyro.
He's gonna get
Euro.
Detroit style
Yeah.
pizza. So you got the Panthers plus 140 on the money line.
Go.
Why would you pick Detroit?
What do you mean?
As a team,
Cheap.
Is that the?
And they've won a championship.
Colby, no one cares about the USFL history.
I am proof that that's not true.
You're in the
Wait,
minority.
NC Nick is proof that that's not true.
You're
My older brothers are proof that that's not true.
no one that isn't a dant cares about the history of the USFL.
My dad's more on board with the USFL than the NFL.
Also a
these days.
dant. It's a dant.
Yeah.
Though.
We got J Mark. J Mark cares.
J Mark might also be a dant. We know your dad spent some time in Iowa. I can only assume.
Not true. Never been on an airplane, but
Oh, there's roads.
no, not that far for him.
Were there not bridges across the Mississippi at that point? Back
Guys,
in the
this
Oregon
is-
Trail.
Lock it up. I mean, this is just take all my picks. I'm
John's
going
probably closing out
4-0.
his
Going 4-0
blackjack
this week.
session. You going to be joining Cam this week on the casino stream?
Oh yeah, no, we definitely should be doing some blackjack streams. Those will be coming up soon. Hey, so Ryan and Colby locking up the Generals. I'm going with the Stars. And make sure you smash that subscribe button, youtube.com/sportsgambling podcast. Toss us a nice rating and review. Always looking to reward great reviews with SGPN gift cards. We got draft week coming up next week. What else do we have on the slate? We got our XFL podcast, more draft prop podcasts, checking in with the NBA.
Draft week, I guess.
Yeah, draft week.
We're
all
going to
next
squeeze
week.
in some NBA on Friday because we're not like the next week is draft week.
All draft week.
Only NFL stuff.
Maybe we'll do it one spring football episode.
What do you mean? We'll see if we can squeeze
All right,
it.
we'll see if we can squeeze it.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, stacking the money green, and he is Ryan.
It would be smart to do 2 at the same time. It would cut down on costs.
Kramer, let it ride. That is great.